So how do we start putting all those pieces together? Now that we have our outline, we have our brainstorming done, we've done our free writing, we've gotten some ideas down on the page, how do we start that research? How do we start supporting ourselves and adding credibility? Sometimes it can be a little confusing, so we have to start thinking outside the box. This can also be a great time to reach out to the Ask a Librarian service or to just ask maybe the Writing Center for help. But definitely try to think well outside what you might consider first. So sometimes when we're doing research, it's usually reiterating what other people are saying. But when we are creating, we're innovating our new ideas and concepts, we're doing real research, so we might have to stretch our imagination a little bit. So if you're not finding things that state precisely what you're trying to do for your precise organization, that might be because nobody has done that before. Nobody's presented it before. But maybe we'll research other organizations' approaches, even if it's outside of our local community or across the globe. We can see what other organizations like this have done to help their own branding and naming, or whatever we're doing. We can also look at, in general, for this specific solution I've been proposing, maybe we can look at advertising strategies and campaigns in academia, so how scholars have analyzed these things. We can also look at research on importance of naming in nonprofit organizations or even for-profit. So we can even say, look, this is very important for Amazon. People didn't understand what Amazon was when it first started, and then they started selling books, right? They were all about books, and all of a sudden they're selling everything. How did they navigate that? That's ridiculous, right? So we can even look at that as a case study. Even though that doesn't seem very related, we can still pull out some related ideas. We can also look at the audience perception of organization names when it comes to psychology or anthropology or sociology or business studies. We can finally look at perhaps how much a campaign like this generally costs. So we can look at Google Ads or social media, Facebook ads, billboards, commercials. It depends on how we're going to manifest this campaign ad. So providing as much information in your research as possible that you feel would be useful and related to your topic is definitely recommended. So you can absolutely think well outside the box and start pulling all these pieces together to build that credibility and show that you've done your homework and that you are really prepared for the solution. They will trust you even more so because of these things. Obviously, we don't want to just throw anything in there, though. And then finally, what are annotations for that annotated bibliography? What does that even mean? Well, that's where we get that word note from, right? So annotations are just the notes of each resource you uncover in your research. It's a form of pre-writing. So it's a part of that research process. You're going to look at how each source could be useful depending on your specific topic and approach, because a certain resource that you found might cover 8,000 different topics and you're only going to use one paragraph from it total, but it's a good paragraph. So you just have to kind of say, listen, most of this is not useful for me, but this one specific part is perfect for my research and proposing this to my audience because of these reasons. Here's what I think would be useful and why it's useful. And then you're going to also consider pulling out useful quotes or data that you may wish to use later. You're just basically setting yourself up for success. You're making sure that this research content is good and useful. Even if you don't end up using all of it later or any of it, you're at least going through the process and weighing the pros and cons, analyzing each source and seeing strategically how this might be useful for you. You're critically examining each one. Hopefully that's helpful, and I know research can be very difficult, so just do your best.